Three ayes, two absent.
Yes.
Action taken in closed session to deny the claim. I guess it's 4/29/2001. A recording of this meeting is being made and shall be kept for 30 days as public record. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready to go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. I am here. Robert Vincelet is here. Sonny Hepburn is absent. Jim Bender is here. And Dwayne Moore is absent.
Move to approve the agenda.
Motion by Vincelet,
Second.
seconded by Bender. All in favor?
Aye.
Three ayes. RTA report. You don't have any. Oh, yeah, you do. You take it.
I didn't know I didn't.
You're invisible tonight.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm John Warfield. Currently, many teachers, including myself, are finishing up session 1 of summer school. Again, a big thanks to all for helping our students during the summer break. With negotiations, we met one time before summer vacation where our RTA presented our proposal for our 3 articles. Unfortunately, both RTA and district were unable to meet in June due to both schedules and everyone being on vacation just about. RTA is hopeful that we will be able to agree on a mutual date so we can continue the negotiations process in July. RTA looks forward to hearing district counter proposals and their proposals at that next meeting. And that's it.
Thank you. And we'll from SCCA. CBO report. Mr. Irving.
As Mr. Warfield already said, summer school session 1 is currently underway. Session 2 will be starting in July. Currently, we have painting happening at the high school to, repaint the campus and everything. It's going well so far, weather permitting. Today was an exception to that. We're looking at having the cafeteria, the interior of the cafeteria at Tropical Middle School repainted before the end of the summer. That way, a little bit of a facelift in there and refresh before we start the school year. We're currently underway with negotiations with both RTA and CSEA. Looking forward to hopefully having everything wrapped up with both units before the end of July so that we can kick off the year in earnest without negotiations also happening. And following last board meeting, me and Rosie and food service have met several times with Chartwells to hit the ground running on their what needs to happen on their end, so that come July 1 that we don't have any gaps in vendors or anything like that on the food service front. Is a real bummer with summer school. And that is it for me.
Thank you. Assistant Superintendent of Instructional and Curriculum, Miss Lacy.
Well, good evening. We have 53 teachers and administrators attending the Avid Summer Institute next Monday through Wednesday, the 27th through 29th. We're all leaving and heading there to San Diego on Sunday. I've been spending lots of time getting out info to all of the people attending and getting materials ready for our site and district time meeting times that we have during that set thing, so that we have a great learning experience for all of our attendees. I did receive 3 of the universal pre-K curriculums that the UPK committee wanted to look at and review, so I have those in my office if you guys ever want to pop in and check those out. And as they stated, summer school session 1 is ending this Friday, and it does start back on Tuesday. If anybody's out there watching, it doesn't start on Monday because that's July 4th, so it starts on the Tuesday the 5th.
This is the Superintendent of Human Resources, Ms. Hargis.
All right, HR has been very busy as we were trying to fill all our current vacancies. Back in May, towards the end of May, we had a production company that came out and shot some video at Roseman High School and Tropico Middle School. And the purpose of that was to create a recruitment video. It's a 30-second video, and they created 4 different videos, so we chose one, and this is the video that we chose.
Are you looking for a collaborative and friendly work environment? Do you have a love and willingness to serve in education? Then the Southern Kern Unified School District is the place for you. We're looking for teachers, parent educators, avid tutors, after-school instructors, campus safety officers, and custodians to serve our K-12 student population. We offer exceptional health and welfare benefits and competitive salaries. Visit skusd.k12.ca.us to apply.
So they did a great job with the video. Currently, I am trying to get all of those, anybody that appears in the video, we have to get a release from them. We can put it on our website because they do have, each one of them does have a media release, but for us to do social media and, if we were to move forward with anything in a movie theater, we would definitely need to have parent permission. So I still have a few of those that I'm working on to get a hold of them. But hopefully we'll get that and we'll be able to continue with our recruitment efforts.
And that's gonna be broadcast where?
Well, right now we can only put it on the website, but I am working with Screen Vision. They have, so kind of what her idea is, and I'll hopefully be bringing that to you in July, is a 6 to 8 month campaign where it would go into select movie theaters, and it would show like the commercial before you go to the movies, and then also it would target some people's phones. So if you get on your phone during the movie theater while you're in the theater, it captures your IP address, and
We
so-
get all their information.
well, no, we don't get all their information, but it would just
We'll
somebody
send them
would get that
letters.
information and be able to determine, what, Southern Kern would be a great, you are in the food service industry, so maybe that might be something that's of interest to you. So, but yeah, we'll be bringing that.
That was a nice little video. I like that.
You did a great job. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. And Superintendent Gaines is not here. Did anybody get a report from her? Okay. Board communication, Mr. Bender.
Well, only a few of us here today, so things must be going really well. No, I don't have anything. I'm just happy to be here.
There's nothing much, just hopefully get ready to go on vacation here a little bit, a couple of weeks, hopefully. So, but, no, hopefully we'll, Leanne, we're working hard to get us the athletic administrator. I know you are, but I know you've got a difficult task there. Hopefully we'll get something somewhere down the line soon. But other than that, let's just have a good summer and continue on.
And I just want to tell everybody to have a good summer. And all the kids that are in summer school, thank you. You guys, I hope you guys achieve what you need to, because we had 2 years of very little schooling. So that's it. And hope everybody's having a good summer.
And say goodbye to Sally too.
Oh, yes, we got to say goodbye to Sally.
Goodbye to Sally. This is her last meeting.
Yes,
So-
well, thank you.
Thanks for everything you've done for us.
Thank you for being our brain. Half of us don't have one.
She'll be back.
She won't, she'll be in control, I hope. No offense to that. Okay. And we have no comments from the public?
No.
In that case, consent items, A through W, that's a lot of consent items. Does anybody have any questions about it?
I do not, so I'll go ahead and move that we accept the consent items.
Second.
Motion by Vince Lett, seconded by Mr. Bender, all in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes, 2 absent. Universal Pre-K Transitional Kindergarten Curriculum Plan, Miss Lacy.
At our last board meeting, on June 8th, I did a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, and let you guys know a little bit about, Universal Pre-K, our Universal Pre-K plan for the district. Basically, it's that plan where over the next, several years, about 6, we're gonna be increasing the number of TK students. Each year will be, increasing the by 2 months. So for example, for this year coming up, any of our students that turn 5 between September 2nd and February 2nd would be able to attend TK. By 25, 26, if they turn 4 by September 1st. So each year it's going to move forward 2 more months until we get to that 25, 26 year where it's when they turn 4 by September 1st. This means we will be increasing the number of classes for our TK students. And I expressed to you the increase of students in classrooms. Basically, over the next couple of years, we'd be adding a new class every year to increase for those number of students that would be attending for that extra 2 months that would be added each year. There were the 4 or 5 different focus areas: community engagement, workforce recruitment and professional learning, curriculum instruction assessment, and facilities. And I went over all of that. Does anybody have any questions from that next time? I highly recommend that we go ahead and approve the plan for our UPK.
Just have a question.
Mhm.
I believe we talked about the preschool at a 9-hour schedule.
It does not have to be. It is, based on research, the full day of TK and kindergarten is found to be the most effective in getting our students to be able to read by 3rd grade. But the state does require us to offer for parents to opt into that after-school program as well to increase the hours available tonight. Not that any parent has to do that, it's a total opt-in piece.
So it's gonna be the regular day of school and
Yes, and then
extended for after
after
school,
school program.
just like we have now.
Yes.
Okay. I was thinking it was gonna be 9 hours. of school.
No,
It's like these poor
it's the
kids.
regular full day of school for that 6 hours, then all the rest of the students go.
Okay.
And then the ability for parents to opt in if they choose to for that after-school program.
I'm excited to get that going.
So, motion.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Bender, seconded by Vince Lett, all in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes, 2 absent. District Local Control and Accountability Plan, Mr. Wessler.
Hi,
This is the short version, right?
yeah, this is, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet.
Okay.
I'm taking Robert's advice under consideration.
Okay, so it's my fault.
So 2 weeks ago, we did a presentation on the LCAP.
Right.
And we looked at the goals and the budget and the actions and the outcomes. For tonight, we are requesting that the board approve the LCAP. And
The same plan that we had last week, or 2 weeks.
there have been some slight revisions and it's in this current.
I saw
Yeah.
the revisions in here.
Yeah, so I want to point out Oh, this is the. Next slide, please. So I want to talk about some funding for the LCAP. So a primary purpose of the LCAP is to provide funding for our high needs students, our unduplicated students, which is our low income foster youth and English learners, and those comprise about 83% of our population. So last year, we received about $9 million in funding to provide increased or improved services to our high needs students. Of that $9 million, we only spent about $4.7 million of that funding. And the primary reason for that is the addition of state and federal one-time funds, ESSER 1, 2, 3, et cetera. And those are multi-million-dollar funding sources, a lot of them are, and that money goes away if we don't spend it. So rather than spending our LCAP funding, in a lot of cases we spent our one-time state and federal funding. So that's a primary reason why we only spent $4.7 million out of $9 million. So the money that's left over, that's called LCFF carryover. And we are required to put that into the LCAP plan for this year. Next slide, please. So the LCFF carryover is $4.3 million. We also receive about $1.3 million in an additional LCFF concentration grant. So we have $5.6 million in additional funding that we have put into the LCAP plan. We haven't added any new actions. We've simply added funding to the actions that are already there, and that will enable us to expand a lot of the programs, add some personnel. So I just wanted to point out that we do have this $5.6 million that we've added to the LCAP plan to expand the actions that are already in the LCAP plan. And I have a longer slideshow that'll go through all of that, but I think for the sake of time, I think it's best to. I'd be happy to go through that with you.
Can I just ask us one stupid question? Could you go back one slide? Now, we funded you $9 million and we only spent $4 million. Now, are you telling me that we actually spent more than $4 million, but it was from a different fund?
Exactly.
Okay, because if we're funding $9 million to help these students, I want to spend the $9 million, but we did.
Maybe not all, I probably.
But
less.
more than the
Correct.
47.
Significantly more. We
Okay.
use the state and federal funding.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
Are there any other questions about the LCAP? Okay, so I would like to ask the board to approve the LCAP.
One more question.
Yes.
I've noticed that same pattern in a few others, that we were allotted more money than we spent. Is
Right.
that the same thing we did there? We used other money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the district has received these state and federal funds, grants of millions of dollars in additional funding.
So we have to use.
Yeah, otherwise it goes away.
Okay.
Whereas with the LCAP funding, it's a 3-year plan. We have more time to spend it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I have make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Bender, second by Vincelette. All in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes, 1 absent.
If anybody wants to stay after the meeting, I'd be happy to show you the rest of the PowerPoint.
No problem. I think we've got a few people to stay.
Okay.
Approve resolution 21-22-17 regarding delegation of administrative authority to process routine budget resolution adjustments and transfer funds. Mr. Herb.
Alrighty, so this is a annual resolution that boiled down to its essence is will give me the authority to update budget, make revisions, make adjustments, transfers as needed for the upcoming year. So everything that, if I need to change something, it doesn't become its own individual resolution, or it's really about it for So very nuts and bolts annual update on, it would be effective July 1 through June 30th for next school year.
That allows you to transfer funds to, say, maintenance or,
Mhm.
what do you call it, deferred maintenance and.
Yeah, or, just within the same fund, okay, we,
Right.
services versus supplies or salary, whatever. So,
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Vince Lett, seconded by Bender. All in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes, 2 absent. Approved resolution 2218 for Board of the Board of Education's of Southern Current Unified School District designated certain general funds as committed funds balance. I don't get that.
okay. I will give you more information. So if you'll recall last board meeting during the public hearing on the budget, I spoke about the reserve cap of the district cannot carry over more than 10% of unallocated, unassigned reserves into the 22-23 school year. Will be penalized, or I have a little bit more information. Let me pull that up real quick, just a little bit of background. So as a part of Proposition 2 that was passed in 2014, requires the state to deposit funds into a rainy day fund under certain conditions. This year, at the end of this year, for approximately 9.7% of K-12's portion of the minimum guarantee will be met. Any time that when there are 3 years in a row that condition is met, it triggers what's called a reserve cap limit. So the last few years between, with all the growth and capital gains, the state's plugged more than 3% into the rainy day fund for schools. And as a result of this, it's triggering what is referred to as the reserve cap limit. So that's what cuts us off at 10%. So as a way to mitigate having excess reserve, one of the tools that a district can do is to commit unassigned and unallocated funds that are within the either Fund 01 or General Fund or Fund 17. So this is a resolution to commit funds for deferred maintenance, as well as our OPEB liability, where the $1,550,000 for deferred maintenance and $1,500,000 for our OPEB liability. The district historically has not contributed towards the OPEB liability. Currently, we are looking at about a liability of about $15 million, $16 million, somewhere in there. So committing funds to go towards that we're putting a little bit of a reducing that liability that's just going to continue to grow and grow unless we start to address it more regularly.
That's,
OPEB is other pension, other benefits outside of pension for retirees. So it's retiree insurance. So it is at this point we're basically we're paying retirees, their 10 years or until they get onto Medicare, depending on where they land in the grandfather clauses and the union contracts, and everybody else is on a pay-as-you-go plan. By committing money to OPEB, it helps the district have a fund that is, when fully funded, will be a net benefit to the district in terms of continuously paying for those health insurance benefits for the retirees, so that it's not just coming out of general fund every year. So.
And we're doing this can save us from the penalty.
Yes, yeah, with this amount of money, it takes our ending year reserve balance to 9.86%, which is, 9.99 or less, which, is where we need to be to avoid being penalized for having excess in reserves. then as far as the deferred maintenance goes, like, we're coming up on the end of useful lives for some of our roofs. Thankfully, today, I don't think, was the telltale sign of that, but, thankfully, hopefully, probably he'll yell at me tomorrow. But, and then, painting projects, other things that, need to be addressed around the district to make sure that, we maintain a safe and healthy environment for students, staff, parents, that we aren't creating just, buildings that are liabilities because they're, starting to crack and crumble where they, shouldn't be.
That's, so did you say, did I hear you right? You said we can put up to 15 million in that account?
For our OPEB liability?
Yeah.
That's what, based off of our last actuarial study, that we're negative about $15 million towards OPEB because, and I couldn't find, in the limited, I didn't do a ton of research, but I couldn't find the last time the district made a significant contribution towards OPEB, but that could just also be my limited research.
Now you're saying we're negative 15 million.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds, I don't understand. Are we putting 1.5 million in there and that's sort of a saving account for us that we can use later on towards benefits for the retirees?
Not necessarily a savings account per se, but when fully funded, it gives the ability of the district to have money already set aside that accrues enough interest on itself that it's not a ongoing cost for the district, that it, balances the cost of the ongoing insurance versus, what the district interest accrues, cancel each other out.
Yeah, I understand that part. I'm just getting confused when you're saying when it's fully funded.
Yeah.
So we've got to put 15 million in there?
Yes,
I see.
at some point, yeah.
I see.
It's, some districts are in the same boat we are. Some other districts over the course of the last, decade or so have, pushed and pushed to, get theirs closer to, so it's, been a, this is one of those things that is truly a local decision and all of that. in terms
So can we withdraw from it if we don't have the 15 million?
believe so. If we were in a pinch that we would be able to move it, but I'd have to do more research to
Okay.
give you a more solid answer.
I like to have a little bit more knowledge on that. If we can use it, if we get it 15 million, that's going to take us 10 years to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is great. I want to do this. This is a fantastic thing. But if it's something that we can't access in a year or 2 or 3 years, if we get in trouble, then we're sort of locking ourselves out of some money. And maybe we can put more into the facility fund instead of that. If we can.
Yeah.
That might be more of a way to go because, like you said, our buildings are getting old. And if we could get that account built up to where we have it. But I truly do like that benefit thing. I think that'd be a great idea. It's just 15 million. That's going to take us a few years to get there.
Yeah.
But if something happens in 3 years, we've got 4 million in there. If we need it, we can get it. Would be nice too.
Well, the big advantage is, if I'm thinking correctly, every year we've got to put in so much money towards this.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Mhm.
This just gives us a big bump.
So this year we put into it regardless. Every year.
No, at this point, the cost of retiree health insurance, some of it is recouped on the folks that are, pay as you go, but, for the folks that are, on a fully, full district paid or, mostly district paid or we're, it's budgeted in as part of, our overall benefits expense for the year is the additional cost.
And I really like the idea. It makes you feel comfortable when you're a retiree too, that the district actually have a buffer there for you.
Mhm.
So I really like that. I really like to pursue it, but I do like to know if we can, if we need it for that, be able to pull out $2 or $3 million that year.
Mhm.
That'd be nice to be able to do. And you can check on that for us?
Yes, that's right.
But in the meantime, are we approving this?
I think we need to.
I'll make a motion that we approve it.
I'll second.
Motion by Bender, seconded by Vincelette. All in favor?
Aye.
3 and 2. Pledge for the 22-23, Mr. Irving.
Here it is. Alrighty, so not quite as much, but still a working version of the budget as the state has yet to, weirdly enough, pass the state's budget a week ahead of their deadline to help me out, which is, very rude of Sacramento. But overall, broad strokes, our budgeted revenue is $56.3 million. This is based off of our ThickMath's LCFF calculator. The restricted funds include some of the COVID-19 funding, ESSER 2 and part of ESSER 3. ESSER 3 has a longer shelf life, so it's not fully included in this budget because I'm not expecting us to go through the remaining ESSER 2 and all of ESSER 3 in the next year. And then our estimated funded ADA based off the LCFF calculator is 3,249. And this is just a breakdown of what our estimated actuals. I'm using the working budget for as the estimated actual. So basically last year's budget versus our July 1 budget. And then overall, there's increased. The reduction in the other state revenue is related to last year the district got ELL grant money and IPI grant money that was one time limited use. And we've gotten those funds, so that revenue source, those two revenue sources have gone away. The state funding, the other state funding, it'll probably be going up in my probably, definitely will be going up with the 45-day revise once trailer bill language and everything gets sent out and we have a fuller picture of, okay, here's the governor's idea and the legislature's idea and figuring out, okay, where do they meet in the middle on things. There were proposals on both sides that, one that deferred maintenance on the governor's side and transportation stuff on the state side or the legislature side. So just figuring out where everything lies after the dust settles. Next slide. And then I didn't edit my PowerPoint very well. It should say 22-23 budgeted expenditures out there, not 21-22. I apologize for that. But again, there's still a lot of COVID money in there. So there's one-time fundings for more supplies, extra duties, capital expenditures as, ways to help mitigate learning loss and work through recovery still as we, all well and good that, and then our LCAP supplemental concentration without the expected 15% is $10,761,000. And then overall, out of this budget, salary and benefits make up about 76%. And this again is due in part to we're still in the middle of hiring and also just increased budgeted on the supply services capital expenditure side. So as that, piece gets larger, so does the divisor. And then at the bottom is our committed funds. This is in reference to the resolution that we just talked about in terms of deferred maintenance and OPEB liability. And then this is a side-by-side comparison where overall all of these expenses are higher than they were last year. And this again is, knowing that we still have the one-time funds to spend off as well as we had salary increases last year and all of that. So next slide. then multi-year projection, I broke this up into current year assumptions and then subsequent year instruction. So like I've already mentioned with the revenues, this includes our base LCFF funding, our LCAP funding, our supplemental and concentration, our actual ADA for the year was $3,016.98, which obviously is not, the funded. Funded is being based off of an average of the previous year since we are in a state of declining ADA. It's looking backwards. Depending on how things happen with the governor and the legislature, the funded ADA amount may change depending on if there's a different model being used. So that'll be updated in due time. Restricted funds include the ESSER 3. There are still a couple restricted pots that are not included in this. More detail is needed from the state in terms of the requirements for the programs. That includes the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program. That's part of that additional hours to, for the opt-in of 9 hours per day. We're getting additional state money to help facilitate that, as well as the universal pre-K, just in terms of where we are facility-wise and staffing-wise, because there are more details that need to be ironed out. And then there is a estimated base grant for COLA that, is one of the larger details that really need to be hammered out between the governor and the legislature with the final budget of, I've heard numbers as low as, an additional 3%. I've heard numbers as high as an additional 15%, where there's a lot of percents in the middle of that, when we're, talking, the overall base grant by itself. So there, without having any detail in there, I didn't want to risk, over or under estimating that. So until the 45-day revise, I, left that out just so that it's a little bit cleaner. It's a lot easier to add from zero. And then our projected reserve amount at the end of this year would be 9.86%. And that, takes our revenue and expenditure into consideration, as well as the committed funds. Okay. And our subsequent year projections, again, based off the LCFF calculator, I'm projecting ADA increase modestly by, about, we were at 3140 last year, 3150 last year, that, hopefully with a full year of in-person instruction and another year coming, ADA starts to trend upwards and follow our enrollment. Step and column increases depending on unit and go from 2.86% to 4%, where this is offset a little bit between the changing and other state revenue, as well as especially on the certificated side with the retirees and everything, just trying to figure out a baseline of where folks were when they left versus who's coming in. So that'll have there'll by first interim, that should hopefully be a more solid picture than what's being projected right now. Consumer price index is being based off of school services dartboard. They do their dartboard and have projections out for the next couple of years. It's a standard baseline that most districts use. And then same with the increase in employee pension benefits. So our SKUSD and PERS costs are also based off of school services dartboard. I'm projecting that our federal categorical funding is projected to be flat. And then expected to be using ESSER 2 and 3, depending on what the project is and if it's in the ESSER 3 plan or not. for this year, and then definitely ESSER 3 for next year. As ESSER 2 will funds will have expired by then, and then based off a multi-year projection, 24-25 at this point is looking at a reserve of 23.51%, with, still 2 years out, so that number, over as the next, year and year after go by will be adjusted accordingly as, we get more information and things continue to do the thing they normally do, change. Off the multi-year projection for the budget, here's where we are for unassigned ending fund balances for 22 through the end of 2025. With I put a little asterisk next to the 9.86 just to again reference that funds have been committed for 22-23. And for the ending fund balances of our other funds, they're fairly flat to what last year's was. Just for an easy snapshot, took the cash and counting totals for all of these funds as of yesterday. So, really the only thing that might have some change in here that might be cafeteria as we go from going to universal meals for next year. So that'll be interesting to see how that works out. We're already a CEP district, so shouldn't be too dramatic of a shift since we offer meals to all of our students currently. It's just going to be a slight change in the way that reimbursements are funded. That is the end of my budget presentation.
Thank you. Certified district's budget for 2022 and 23. Motion?
Also move.
Motion by Vince Lett.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bender. All in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes, 2 absent. Approve the following list of personnel items. Anybody have any questions on any?
I did not. Do you have any questions, Jim?
Let me look here. I think I had something here. The head coach for girls basketball. They did it last year.
For girls basketball, the head coach has not changed.
It has not changed.
We still have the one on the roster for the following year.
Okay. I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes, 2 absent. And I believe we are
Almost.
I got one question, sort of off our subjects, but Robert, if, a year or so, we talked about crossing walks
Mhm.
at the, West Park corner, east corner, and it was gonna cost quite a bit of money to have them put in.
Mhm.
And I mentioned since they're building that new track, that we can have them put in a crosswalk. That hasn't happened.
No, it's not.
I'm talking about the crosswalk or a crossing guard.
Crosswalk, because they have to go, it's not striped. And to put up a sign and have it striped cost quite a bit of money last time we checked into it. The other new track that just went in is pretty much finished. And I don't know if anybody pursued them or try to convince the building department that they need to put a crossing walk in there at the corner before they get it
To, I forget it, I want to say his name's Salvatore, but don't quote me on that exactly. 'Cause-
in Bakersfield.
Yeah, with the Kern County Public Safety,
Uh-huh.
about, looking and doing surveying and whatever else they need to do to, you know, cross their i's and dot their t's about things,
Okay.
where I can follow, I don't mind.
If we could just
Calling
make it,
people and bother 'em.
before that housing track get completely funded and gone, and we're gonna have to pay to have that done, I believe that should be a responsibility that they should have to pay to put that in. Yes, we'll have to man it if that's what we decide to do, but at least the lines will be there and the signs will be up. You know, we don't have to pay for that, so.
Yeah.
Because we talked about a year or so ago of putting it down further on, what's that, 35th Street? The very end of the school. They wanted a crossing walk there, and it was gonna cost quite a bit of money to do that. So basically, if we can get them to do it at the other end, we don't have to pay to have that done. Just something to look into. I remember talking about it, and they're about done selling homes, and once they're out of town,
They ain't coming back.
they don't even remember Rosebud.
Okay, more, that's the, interim permits. There's just, for Lindsay Williams and the volunteers. Motion, we go ahead and approve that.
Okay. Motion by Vince Let, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Three ayes.
On our personal items, are we looking better as far as getting teachers and people looking at coming to work for us?
Well, we still have numerous openings, but we do have some interviews scheduled for Monday,
Good.
so, we're working on it.
Well, last year was hard to get anything to come to work.
At least we got some interviews scheduled. That's a
Yes,
good
yes,
thing.
we do definitely have interviews, and, I scour the front line every day, so, all right, let's call this person.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't finish my application finished. I know.
I'd make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Bender, seconded by Vince Let, all in favor?
Aye.
Three ayes. And time is
74.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
You did good.